discussing about India and Nepal. So when we are talking, see, you see the position of Nepal and Bhutan. So these kind of states, what do you call? Buffer state. Okay. Similarly, Mongolia, you see the position. Between such a massive two countries, we have China and Russia, we have Mongolia. So this is also what we call it as buffer state. Okay. Now, there are many buffer states like this, even in South America. I was telling this yesterday, we talked. You see, from the shape itself, you can see Paraguay. Paraguay is a buffer state, okay, because it is located in between Argentina and Brazil, right? So this is to prevent. In fact, in Europe, if you look here, say UK is here, France is here, not exactly Belgium. Because, most of the fighting, in fact, there is a sobriquet about Belgium. It is not a cockpit of Europe. Meaning, whenever France and Britain used to fight, United Kingdom, UK used to fight, they used to fight in Belgium. Fight udhar hota tha. Okay, they are fighting, but the venue of the fight was always Belgium. That is why it is called cockpit of Europe. Okay, the same. So this is something like that. But anyway, even in earlier some of the states like Switzerland, they were not participating in any war or anything, and you can see that it is in between Italy, Germany, France. These kind of states where they are comparatively neutral. They don't want to participate. So such states which are considered to be a bit neutral, not participating in any war. So that is what we call it as the buffer state. Okay. So our Nepal and Bhutan, in fact, even Sikkim for that matter, earlier Sikkim did not join Indian Union. You know it very well. Sikkim joined here, this part. Now this Sikkim, when did Sikkim join Indian Union? Okay, 1975. Okay. So till then it was also another kingdom. One recent development between, when you look at, India and Nepal, there are, what is the, if you have to, suppose India-Nepal relations, when you think, what is the one thing which comes to your mind? What is unique about India? Nepal is a different country. What is that one unique thing? I don't know whether you can think, which may come to your mind. We have our land border is open. It's an open border. Okay. It's an open border. That is something unique. We don't have to have any visa or any passport to travel into each other's country, and Indians can work in Nepal and Nepalis can work in India without any special work permit. No work permit is required. So who is a beneficiary of this? Is Indians are more better beneficiary or Nepalis are more beneficiary? Nepal is better beneficiary. Of course, we will see more workers, more laborers coming here. But most of the tourism in Nepal is controlled by Indians. Most of the trade in Nepal, it is controlled by Indians. So in fact, we are a better economically. There may be thousands of Nepalis working in India as maybe guards, as maybe cooks, as maybe, in some domestic service they may be giving. In hotels, you will find so many Nepalis. But the total amount of money they may collect, maybe lakhs of them, maybe what they earn may not be equal to one rich businessman's income in Nepal who is from India. Okay. So even though it looked like Nepal is a better beneficiary, in reality, Nepal is not a better beneficiary. In fact, India is a better beneficiary there because of most of the business, most of the trade, most of the tourism, it is in the hands of Indians. So one of the reasons why Nepal is not so, or Nepalis are not very happy, or rather they have a negative feeling towards India. One is our, especially, the Marwadi community from India, they dominate the, the Nepali business. So they always feel that we outsiders are coming and earning maximum money and going and taking money. In fact, a substantial amount of that profit comes to India. Suppose a Marwadi family, they may have, business in Nepal, but ultimately the money will come where? Money will come back to India. So the remittance from Nepal to India is very high. Why? Because we earn a lot of money. So, and also another problem for people of Nepal is when the Nepalis work in India, and that too in a lower grade job. Naturally, we Indians are not that magnanimous enough to give respect and all. So how we treat, general habit hai hamara. And even the Gurkha regiment we have, and the Gurkhas who are working in Indian Army, again, most of them are ordinary soldiers. So ordinary soldiers always have some grudge against the officers. So we recruit them as ordinary soldiers, not as officers. Some of them may be officers, but not many of them. So all of them, when they go back, they have a lot of negative things to talk about India because of the treatment which they receive here. So they also have this problem of complaint. Those who are working here, they have a complaint of mistreatment. And those who are Indians in Nepal, the problem is we are making more money, we make money and we extract money, profit motive is always there. So many of them feel not so good. So one of the fundamental reasons why Nepal and the people of Nepal may not have much positive feeling towards India is this reason. Okay, so there are two fundamental reasons for not so good relationship between India and Nepal. One is Indians working or Indians doing business in Nepal. Okay, one point. Indians, doing business in Nepal. And number two, so I already told they have profit motive, they make money, they send back money to India, which is not so good, or rather, which is not seen as a positive thing for people of Nepal. That is number one. Number two, Nepal is working in India. Nepal is working in India, and most of them are either working in lower level jobs, okay, as cooks, guards, okay, domestic laborers. Then even in army who are working, they are as ordinary Jawans, not in the higher level. So they have many negative stories to tell. They have many negative stories to tell. So that is one fundamental issue between India and Nepal. Then one or two we can say. This is the open border and the free work permit. So there is a demand. In fact, you will be surprised to know Nepal, some of the political parties, especially the Communist Party, they were even demanding that there should be work permit issued. Then we reminded them, your people are working in India, so it will be adversely affecting your income and your day-to-day, jobs. But they were asking for work permit because they wanted to control Indian businessmen working in Nepal. That is why they were asking for work permit should be issued. Then we politely reminded Nepalis that, okay, theek hai, we will happily do it. But please don't forget that how many of your people are working in India, please count. Then only you please propose this. So then they relented a bit. Otherwise, from their side, proposal came. We have no problem. Why? We need, see, now any economy. Now, just to remind you, I mean, it is slightly outside India-Nepal relation. Now, say in USA is such a large economy, the largest economy we can say. What is the population of US? 330, right? 330 million population. China, India, it is USA. Now, do you have any idea about how many illegal migrants are in US? Out of this 330 million? And do you think there are illegal migrants in US? Ama Indians hi hoga 4-5 lakh. Then from Mexico, from entire, see, the whole world, whoever wants to go somewhere, I mean, the first choice will be US. I mean, especially if you have to do some illegal activity, फिर तो बड़ा ही illegal करते हैं. So they will say, let us go to US. So millions of illegal migrants are in US. Millions. Then, are these illegal migrants good for US or bad for US? That's my question. See, in fact, they are actually good for the, I mean, in a negative way, good for the economy. Why? Because, these illegal migrants, what will they do? They, first of all, the moment they enter US, they will destroy all their documents. Because if you are an illegal migrant, आपको पकड़ना नहीं चाहिए ना. Suppose आपके पास passport भी है. If you have a passport also, what will you do? The moment you enter the country, you will destroy your passport and all to prove that you have not come from outside. If you are caught something like that, then only you can be caught. I mean, they can do something with you. So they don't have any document, and they are always fearful of they may be caught. है ना? ऐसा ही है ना कि आप सोचो ना, illegally कहीं बैठा है, आपका दिमाग में क्या है कि suppose you are traveling in a train without tickets. So anyway, so WT हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, WT चलना है. WT चलना है, विदाउट टिकट चलना है. ओके, इसका नाम ही था. विदाउट टिकट भी पूरा नहीं बोलता, WT. ओके, हमें WT करना है. सो व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, व्हेन यू आर सिटिंग, हमें बहुत कॉन्फिडेंस है हमारे अपने, बट स्टिल इफ अ TT इज गोइंग, वो तो चाय पीने जा रहा है, लेकिन हमारा टेंशन शुरू हो गया, भाई हमारे पास तो टिकट नहीं है. वो पूछेगा भी नहीं, हमें देख के भी उनको पता है, दे नो दैट दीज आर फ्रॉम दिस कॉलेज, सो उससे पूछना भी नहीं है, वो भी उनको पता है. तब भी हमारा एक टेंशन. Okay, so because you are, so what I'm trying to tell you that when you are an illegal migrant, you will not be demanding. You will be always afraid of you may be caught at some point of time. Okay, so then when you are not demanding, even if you are getting less salary, you will accept. You may not be asking for many perks. You may not be asking for a holiday. You may not be asking for maybe some allowance, this allowance, that allowance. नहीं, कुछ नहीं चाहिए. No human rights violation. Even if there is some violation, बोला ठीक है यार, I will adjust because I have no document with me. So this is actually helping the American economy. Otherwise, don't you think that America is such a rich country with so much of technology? Don't you think that they can actually identify one by one and deport them? They are not doing. Purposefully they are not doing. They also know that ठीक है, चलने दो, side में चलने दो. So when we were talking about we will catch all illegal Bangladeshi migrants from India and send them back, the only answer is we also should not be doing this. Why this exercise? Yeah, faltu exercise. Why we spend so much of money? If some Bangladeshis are coming, we will accept and let them work. At the best, I will say let us issue even work permit to them, rather than they will swim across some river and enter India. सीधा road पे आओ ना, road से आओ. We will receive them with swag. We will receive them with all swag, right? So that is always better. You take all biometric data also, iris also, everything you take. Tomorrow, if there is some crime taking place in India, we can at least identify and say, oh, this Bangladeshi has done it. Okay, but if somebody is illegally entering and working somewhere in Mumbai, so we cannot do anything with them. We may not have any data about them, no document, nothing. Even in Delhi, so many, these slums, illegal Bangladeshis are staying there. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that if from Nepal, if some workers are entering India, and if they are working in the lower level, it actually adds to the economy. We have no commitment to them. We need not have to pay any other service. We may not have to give any other, Ayushman Bharat. ऐसा नहीं देना है हमें. क्यों? Because they are not Indians. They will not even demand that. But still they will work. So that way it is beneficial. Anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you is that this work permit idea, when it came, we reminded them all these things. Bhai, तुमको दिक्कत होगा. You will have problem. Not we will have problem. Okay, so if you don't get business there, we will get business somewhere else. नेपाल में नहीं है तो हम भूटान जाएंगे, भूटान नहीं है तो म्यांमार जाएंगे, नहीं तो अफगानिस्तान जाएंगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा. Okay, so it is sometime. Anyway, so this is something, it is always, we don't have any problem, but they will have problem. That is number one. Then another point I would like to add here is, very interesting term. Nepal's economy is known as post office economy. So what do you mean by this post office economy? Actually, why we call an economy a post office economy is those economies who are critically dependent on the money sent back by the people who work outside. Okay. Nowadays we have ATM machine. Okay. Nowadays we have various ways to now Paytm में भी हो जाएगा, ATM भी नहीं चाहिए, Paytm ही हो गया, है ना? Google Pay, money will come in your account. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to even touch the money. No, everything is electronic. Okay. But imagine 20 years before, when there was no, no Paytm, no internet transfer, any transaction, you'll have to go to the bank or a money order. Money order aata tha. Okay. Money order is costly also. When the transaction charges are high. But suppose you need suddenly, 5,000 rupees hostel man. Tomorrow we have to pay, within 3 days you have to pay. So how will you transfer the money? So what in those days we had this money order. You have to, suppose my father has to send money. He'll have to go to the local post office and deposit this money and give my details. Okay, my address and details should be given. So electronically, like the telegram, in those days, the telegram type, a telegram from that post office will come to the nearest post office where I am staying. So near the college or the college post office, it will come. So there all details will come. Money need not transfer. Money is deposited in the bank, in the post office there. So from where the money has to be given, from that post office, they will take out 5,000 rupees from the post office and come to my room and say that, sir, aapke liye money order aaya hua hai. And for that, you have to pay a service charge to the post. So in those days, I mean, before all this internet and everything came, and most of the people in Nepal, or a vast majority of them, are either in our as a Gurkha regiment or in Indian Army, or they're working in India, and end of the month they all send back a money order. So that money order they receive from where? From the post office. So that is why we used to call it as a post office economy or money order economy, or those people who are critically dependent on the money which is being sent back by the earning members who are working somewhere else, and with the money when it comes back, that is why we call it as a money order economy or a post office economy. In India, sometimes we even talk about Uttarakhand. See, why people in the hills, you may not be able to get so much of job. So they're able-bodied men, they will come down, they go to the cities, maybe from Himachal and all, they will come to Chandigarh or in Delhi, or from Uttarakhand again, they will come to the cities, they work and send back the money. Okay, even a substantial, we can say even in Kerala for that matter, the people who are working in Gulf countries and their families are back in Kerala and they send back the money. So their economy or their activities are critically dependent on the money which is sent back by them. So not so much about the Kerala economy we say, but definitely some of these places where most men work outside. So what I'm trying to tell you is, so the point I'm making is between India and Nepal, once again, these, our economies are critically interlinked, and Indians who are doing business in Nepal and the Nepalis working in India as workers or daily wage workers or maybe guards or cooks. Okay, so they're sending back money. So they were not very happy about, of course, a lot of discrimination and all. So they were not so happy about what was happening. So that was one issue. Okay, that is number one. And that is in that context only, I talked about the term post office economy or even money order economy. See, these days, one big thing, please remember this preliminary exam, which is different from the previous preliminary exams. What were they? Two differences, big differences. One is that how many pairs are correct. 8 questions were like that. It's a very dangerous question. Okay, it's the most difficult, I will say, because you need to know all 4, then only you can answer it. Very difficult to get all 4 correct. You may not be knowing. So that is one difference. And number two, there were many, at least 4 or 5 questions this time about a term. What is the meaning of this term? Like post office economy, money order economy. That is why I am telling this. See, this time they question like a Levant. What do you mean by Levant? Okay. Also, what is that polar code? What is polar code? Like this, 5 or 6 questions were there, which was not so prominent previously. So now, even some of these kind of terms, where you have to just know the meaning only. Now, I talked about post office economy. I am 100% sure in your life you will not forget this. You need not study anything specially for knowing post office economy. Okay, you got the concept, you will use it forever. See, many a times, these kind of side stories which I talk, this is what will come in the exam. Kya kare? हमें पता नहीं था ये पूछ सकता है, but when it is asked, we feel, अरे यार, there's some I never thought. So that is why when I say these kind of side issues, you please note down and keep it so that when you revise, you should be revising also. Then I also talked about illegal migrants advantages. See, normally we may not be teaching it separately, illegal migrant advantages. So in some of the issues, when we discuss these kind of things will come up, and that is how we point that. Okay. So whenever I come up with these kind of side stories, please note. That is very important for you today or tomorrow. Where will you use? I don't know. Right now, I cannot tell also. But if a question comes, I will say, okay, I said in the class. Okay. So this is how it is there. Now, so this is one problem with Nepal. And number 2 issue, which I would like to remind you between India and Nepal, is, both India and Nepal signed a friendship treaty. In 1950. Okay. We signed a friendship treaty in 1950. But the problem is, Nepal feels that, especially the critics in Nepal, they feel that this is a one-sided treaty, heavily in favor of India. Because their feeling is, it is heavily in favor of India. Okay. So and in fact, that fact can be understood from the issue that this treaty was signed by the ambassador of India to Nepal and the prime minister or the king, the executive head of the Nepal at that time. So from Indian side, our ambassador, and from their side, the topmost executive. So aap socho, if we both will have an agreement between you and me. Now, when the agreement is signed, I will say, okay, you sign. Then from my turn came, I said, my peon will sign. So that is not an equal treaty then. Okay. Or I will say, my driver will sign. Okay. Then immediately you will feel, arey, kya kar diya? Then you also said that had I got a driver, I would have asked him to sign. That's what you will think, no? So anyway, the same thing has happened. Our ambassador cannot be equated with king or the prime minister at the time of Nepal. Okay. So the signing itself is an indication that this treaty is an unequal treaty. And there are many provisions in that treaty which Nepal feels that we are not respecting their independence and sovereignty. Nepal feels we are not respecting sovereignty of Nepal. We are not treating them as equals. They feel we are not treating them as equals. See, now, High Commissioner and Ambassador. Okay, somebody is asking this doubt. Aapko check karna hoga. All are ambassadors only. The common term is ambassador. Okay, that means Indian representative in any other country, we generally call it as ambassador. But for Commonwealth countries, we give a special name. They're just to make sure that we are in a special relationship. Okay. If we are a Commonwealth member, Commonwealth are former British colonies. Okay. So there we call them as high commissioners. Okay. There we call it as high commissioner. So otherwise, the common term is ambassador. High commissioner is a special recognition we give if the relationship is between two Commonwealth member countries. Okay, some 53 Commonwealth countries are there right now. Okay, most of them were former colonies of Britain. There, the representatives of each other we call as High Commissioner, not ambassador. Okay, so that is a difference. Anyway, you can remember that. That is a side information I am just giving you. Right? So big brothers are negative characters, okay, in English. Okay, when you say big brother attitude is a negative term. Don't hurry, maja aa gaya, mera bada bhai hai. No. So Nepal always complains that India is having a big brother attitude. That means we always take them for granted. We don't consider them to be an independent and sovereign country. So that complaint is always there. So for Nepal, that is number 2. Number 3 issue is, see, most of the rivers in India or other rivers of Nepal, it is ultimately draining into India. And for Ganga, please remember 40% of its water is coming from tributaries flowing or beginning from Nepal. 40%. Okay. And in fact, you can see this Koshi, Gandak, Rapti, Sarda, all these rivers are 40% of the water of Nepal, water of Ganga is coming from Nepal. And because of this huge potential, because of this huge potential, in fact, these rivers are perennial rivers. The total hydroelectric potential, HEP, which is considered clean energy, in Nepal river is 83,000 megawatts. Total hydroelectric potential of Nepal. But to construct hydroelectric power project, you need money. Nepal has no money. India says we will invest. But Nepal feels that every such proposal from India is one-sided. India is getting more benefit. So because of that mindset, they are not able to agree on anything. Right now, the situation is so funny that despite this potential, India is selling 600 megawatts of electricity to Nepal because they have severe shortage of electricity production. Demand is high. They have no mechanism. They have no money to invest in a hydroelectric power project. And ultimately, last year, 2019-20, I think we were selling 600 megawatts. Selling means we, out of our concern for having they don't having enough electricity, we are selling them 600 megawatts. But Nepal is not willing to sign agreements to to produce more electricity. Why? Because they fear that this will be an exploitative treaty. They are fearing that this is going to be an exploitative treaty. That is their fear. We are not saying anything. They feel any multi-purpose river valley project. We have signed many treaties before also, but never executed. We have expressed the intent. But there was a big treaty called Mahakali Treaty, Mahakali River. I think in 1996 we signed. And it was a comprehensive project where irrigation also will be there, then flood control also will be there. I think 6,000 megawatts of electricity production plan was there. But even after signing it in 1996, we never executed it. Even today, it is not executed. We signed it. Saptagoshi, the eastern river. Again, there is a treaty. but unfortunately not implemented. Why? Because finally, when it comes to the implementation stage, they will raise some objection, some doubt, some fear. Ultimately, nothing happened. So this is a big problem. But take the case of Bhutan. That is the most interesting thing I always would like to say. Bhutan is opposite. They have a potential of around 30,000 megawatt of electricity production. Okay. And they have no ideological confusion. They say we have no money, so we cannot invest money for constructing hydroelectric power projects. India will have to support, or somebody else will have to support. That is the only way. In fact, today, a very interesting thing about Bhutan is Bhutan has the highest per capita income in South Asia. Per capita income in South Asia. But Bhutan has no agriculture because it is fully forested. Bhutan has no industry. Again, no space for industry. Bhutan is not interested in any tourism, no tourism. Why? Because Bhutan feels that if tourists come, they will destroy their culture. But no industry, no agriculture, no tourism, no service sector, then how can they get so much of income? Income kahan se aata hai? So the reason is they produce hydroelectricity. उसके लिए the tourism नहीं चाहिए ना, industry नहीं है. Water is there. From water, running water, you produce electricity, and they sell that electricity to India, and they get money. And because of that money, Bhutan has the highest per capita income in South Asia. Okay. In fact, this Bhutan's king or the prime minister, earlier, especially during the previous government's time, Manmohan Singh's time, whenever he used to visit, okay, so when a Bhutanese king used to come, he used to come up with some HEP proposal, hydroelectric power project proposal. And the proposal is very simple. Bhutan will say, let us have a 50-50 project. Okay. Between India and Bhutan. India east to Bhutan is equal to 50-50. Okay. Project shuru kar rahe hai. So naturally, we were very happy, 50-50. We also need electricity. Hydroelectricity is cheap because after the initial investment, there is no further investment required. So it is comparatively cheap. So then we used to ask our Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's time. So we used to ask, "Theek hai, batao, what is that 50-50? So Bhutan king says, 50% of the money India should invest as aid. Give us 50%. Suppose 1,000 crore project. Bhutan's demand is very simple. 500 crore aid de do. मनमोहन सिंह इधर उधर देख के फाइनली सोचा कि इनको भगाना है तो ठीक है हम दे देंगे आपको aid. We will give you 500 crore aid. Then what about the rest 50? Bhutan suggested this you give as soft loan. 50% aid, 50% loan from India. तो बचा क्या है? Bhutan, how much they paid? 0. And this loan should be maybe in a 1% interest or 2% interest for 1 year, not more than that. Soft loan. So then next question by Manmohan Singh was, how will you repay the loan? Uske liye I will sell electricity to India. Okay, I'm not joking. This is what exactly they are doing. So now we have more than 3,000 megawatt hydroelectric power project already commissioned or in the process of commissioning. More than 3,000 megawatt. How? Everything is the same proposal. Okay, 50% loan, 50% aid, and the loan will be repaid by selling electricity to India. बहुत मजा आ गया. So this is what I'm trying to tell you is, if Bhutan can understand this, Bechara, Nepalis cannot understand this. Nepal has more potential than that of Bhutan. I said Nepal has 83,000 megawatt hydroelectric power potential, but unfortunately they are unable to do. Bhutan has only 30,000, but they are already, and their target, I still remember in early 2000, they kept a target of 10,000 megawatt electricity to be produced, hydroelectric power production by 2020. They kept a target. Of course, that is a highly ambitious target, no doubt regarding this. But still, I think at least 5,000-6,000 megawatt construction is still going on, and it is quite impressive. And they became the highest per capita income country in South Asia because of selling this. So anyway, so this electricity, which India says Nepal that we can have collaboration, but Nepal is not willing because they fear that this is going to be an exploitative treaty. So they say India will exploit their resources. So that is why ultimately they are not able to go ahead with this electricity production. Okay, so that is another problem which between India and Nepal, even though we have, but we are not able to move forward. So one is the Indians, I said in work permit, no work permit, open border, Indians in Nepal doing business, and reverse. I said number two, it's also post office economy and all. Then number two, I said is that friendship treaty which is signed in 1950. Nepal feels it is highly one-sided. They want a review of that. And our big brother attitude is another problem. And then another issue is the water, but we are not able to exploit the water resource. This water is ultimately draining into Bay of Bengal. We are not able to extract any electricity. Nepal needs electricity. Any country, especially the poorer countries, if you want to develop, we need electricity generation. This could have been one of the ways in which we are doing. Unfortunately, we are not able to do. So that is also. And a fourth problem between India and Nepal is our trade. Okay. In trade is one-sided. Okay. In fact, we have many integrated cross-border checkposts and all. And the bilateral trade between India and Nepal, as I told you, the total bilateral trade in 2018-19 was around $8.2 billion. 2018-19, $8.2 billion. Bilateral trade. It's not big. What could be India's total bilateral trade? Bilateral trade means export and import. What could be a rough figure for you? Just before COVID. COVID time, things went wrong, we know. But still, approximately, approximately the total trade with all countries put together, India's could be around $650 billion. In that range, it may be varying a bit here and there. Okay, around 650, 700 manlo. But out of 700, 8, kitna? 1%. 708, 1.1%, 1.2%, right? So please remember, this is not a big amount for India. But for Nepal, it's a huge amount because most of their trade, more than 60% of their bilateral trade is with India only. Because India is only, but out of that, India's export to Nepal, that was $7.76 billion. India's export to Nepal was 7.76. What is Nepal's export to India? 0.5. $0.5 billion. So how do you explain, or what do we say if the bilateral trade is like this? We will say it is highly one-sided. Now, we are exporting items worth $7.76 billion to you. and you are able to sell only 0.5. So what is the trade deficit? Yeah, so trade deficit is equal to 7.76 minus 0.5. So 7.26. $7.26 billion. It's a huge trade deficit. For a country like Nepal, if you look this way, you can say that 90% is one side and maybe 10% from their side. Not even 10%. 0.7 means 10% hota. 8%. 92% of our activities to you, and you are able to sell only 8%. 92% is from India to Nepal. So every country with China, India and China, what is our biggest complaint as far as this trade is concerned? Trade deficit. What is the bilateral trade between India and China approximately? It's around $100 billion. $1 is equal to how much? Say 75 rupees. $1. Okay. $1 billion is equal to how much? 7,500 crores of rupees. Okay. Please remember, 1 crore is how much? 1 crore is equal to 10 million. 100 lakh is 1 crore. 1 million is 10 lakhs. Don't confuse. 1 crore means 10 million. So 100 million means 10 crore. 1,000 million is 100 crore. 1,000 million is 1 billion. Okay. And into 75, 75 into 100. 75 rupees, $1. So 75 into 100 crore is 1,000 million is 1 billion. 1 billion is nothing but 100 crore for us. Simple calculation, mathematics, don't forget. Now 100 crore dollars. 100 crore dollar is equal to 7,500 crore Indian rupee, because 1 rupee or $1 is equal to 75 rupees. Had it been Pakistani economy, had we been in Pakistan, 1 billion kitna hota Pakistan mein hota to maja aata hai hum logo ko. Had we been in Pakistan, had we been Pakistanis, what is $1 is equal to Pakistani rupee? 200. $1 somehow kama lo, 200 rupees. $1 billion agar mil gaya Pakistani ko, it would have become 20,000 crore. Only 7,500. Okay, I mean, but so all I am saying is this deficit between India and China also, the biggest problem is that we are feeling now out of this $100 billion, China to India, how much could be that? Approximately $80 billion. Approximately. I mean, figures you please cross check. I'm not taking India-China relations today, so I have not verified the latest figures. But India to China, it may be approximately $20 billion, not more than that. Ulta hai. Okay, India is exporting less. India is importing more. Okay, India to China means India exporting to China. Okay, so that is the situation. So please remember this gap, that means the trade deficit between India and China is equal to 80 minus 20 is equal to $60 billion deficit we are creating. So we are not very comfortable with that. We feel it should be balanced. The gap should be less. If you are importing something, we should export more. But that is a wishful thinking, because Chinese are good in manufacturing, so it's very difficult to replace them. But overall, kya hoga hama India ka trade deficit? Overall is quite high. Why? That is because India is critically dependent on oil. India is critically on oil import. Almost 80% of our requirement is coming from import. So our imports maybe around 470, $450 billion. Our export may be around 350, $360 billion. So there is a gap of almost $100 billion gap is there overall, which we want to reduce. How can you reduce the trade deficit? Very simple, reduce import and increase export. So, but which route you will prefer? Should we reduce import or increase export? Because if you try to reduce import, what will happen? See, whenever there is a decline in import, is not a happy thing to talk about, because that is an indication that our economy's demand has gone down. Okay, if our import bill is reducing, and because of the reduction in the import bill, if there is a trade surplus, there is either there can be trade surplus or trade deficit. Trade deficit means our import is more, export is less. If import is less and export is more, what will happen? It is trade surplus. India is not a country with a lot of trade surplus or export surplus. We were always, less, I will say good in exports. But during the COVID time, a couple of months, our imports fell so much that we had trade surplus in a couple of months. Okay. So is it a good thing or a bad thing? It was not good, because our demand in the country has reduced so much, we were not able to import also. We said we don't want this much of petrol and petroleum products to be imported. Why? Because vehicles are not running. People are not having enough money to run the vehicle only. We said we don't want this, that we don't want. Why? Because nobody wants to buy it. So, but our government, our Piyush Goyal type of people, they immediately celebrated in Twitter, Dekho, India has become trade surplus. So, and our, troll managers and those andhbhakt, they all celebrate, dekho, maja aa gaya, India is progressing, Modi ji ke under mein kya ho raha hai, dekhiye. Yes, sab dekh rahe. But if you don't know the reality, then you may celebrate. But this is not something we should celebrate. We can always say trade surplus is a good thing. We have surplus dollar with us, because we are exporting more, we are importing less. But a developing country like India, where we are critically dependent on good products from outside, technology from outside, even if our imports are slightly more, and if it is driving our economy, it is helping in developing our economy, it should be seen as a positive thing rather than a negative thing. So, but then you may be asking, from where we get the dollar? If there is a $100 deficit, $100 billion deficit, our imports are more, exports are less, so we need $100 billion extra. वो कहाँ से मिलेगा? I fully agree. We have a reserve of more than $600 billion. So we have other means to get. Only trade alone is not our interaction with the rest of the world. So we have remittance. We have, say, for example, services. We export service. Okay. For example, software we sell. Or when there are tourism coming to India, tourists coming to India, they come with dollar. Suppose you have somebody, a foreigner wants to come to India. What will they do? They'll come with their dollar, and at the airport or somewhere, they will exchange their dollar with Indian rupees. So we got Indian dollar, right? So tourists, services, remittance, then even foreign direct investment. Okay. Also, the investment in share market. What do you call that? FPA, foreign portfolio investment. So from all these things, if there is a net positive, see, remittance. India has the largest remittance in the world. Like Nepal's economy is dependent on remittance, around $80 billion. Around, I'm saying, it is more, sometimes slightly, but in that range. That is, India has the highest remittance in the world. Okay, this 80 is a bonus for us. क्योंकि कोई कमा के भेज रहे डॉलर, Then services, our service industry, we are very good in software. We sell the service. Okay, shipping, tourism, all these will come under services only. Then if more tourists come to India, we get dollar. What happened to Sri Lanka? Their tourism got stuck because of COVID, because of the bomb blast. Suddenly, the incoming dollar reduced. No tourists, no dollar. So they did not have enough dollar to buy their essential goods later on. So you can connect it. Then FDI, if a foreign company is investing in India in our brick and mortar, some factory in some building, that is foreign direct investment. And where if FDI comes, it's good for India. Why? Because they cannot take that money. Suppose I come and invest in this building. Tomorrow I want to sell this building. It may take 6 months, 8 months, maybe 1 year to sell this building. So if there is foreign direct investment, it is good because it is not that easy to take away. But foreign portfolio investment in share market, it is easy money. Or rather, it is fly by night money. Tomorrow morning, you have some shares today, 10 shares of any company of Tata. Tomorrow morning, you need money. What will you do? You will say, let the stock exchange open. I will sell this. Instantaneously, you will get the money. And by a click of a button, you may get the money back. So if foreigners investing in India, in this portfolio in share markets and all, the chances are that. So it's a dangerous money. This money has no guarantee. If something goes wrong, they will say, "Main ja raha hu." Okay, but if there is foreign direct investment, so please understand this foreign direct investment has two parts. Okay, if it is, this is long-term investment is good, but short-term, it may be in the short term it is good, but it can fly back also very fast. Anyway, so what I'm trying, even though we have huge trade deficit, we are lucky to have this remittance. Then, especially service export, especially our Infosys, TCS, such companies, we are exporting so much, we get a lot of surplus money from there. Then tourism utna nahi hai. Even FDI, comparatively good. And even portfolio investment, net incoming investment into shares, all these things are making more or creating more dollars for us. That is why our dollars, right now, kitna hai? More than $600 billion forex reserve. Okay. So anyway, so I have just mentioned this point. So please remember, so we were talking in terms of the bilateral trade between India and Nepal. Nepal has a huge trade deficit with India. Trade deficit always is not bad. With China, for example, I will say you should not be that emotional. See, if we can get some cheaper good from China, which is good also, and then if it is coming from China, what is the problem? We'll buy it from them. See, for example, I'm just reminded, recently I was told, air conditioner, summers, air conditioners, Chinese air conditioners are at least 5,000 to 7,000 rupees cheaper than any other, even Korean or any other air conditioner which you can buy because of Chinese components. If you say no Chinese components, very good, then we will import from where? Say South Korea or maybe from other countries, maybe Vietnam. And who will pay this 7,000 rupees extra? We poor Indians, the middle class who want an AC, we will be ultimately paying more. So it's not, if you stop China from exporting to India, it may not be a good thing always. It can add to the cost of living of India unnecessarily. Anyway, so that is how. So anyway, this trade business, I'm just coming back. Nepal has no refinery, oil refinery. Entire petroleum products required for Nepal, we are selling from India. So like this, they have very critical, even food grains, rice, millets. Okay, so paddy, of course, machine parts, all these things we are exporting from India, and Nepal's export, we are exporting to Nepal. Nepal's export to India is comparatively much less. Okay, so anyway, so these are some of the issues between India and Nepal in general, where there are disagreements between India and Nepal. Now, so which are they? I'm just helping you to repeat that first problem between India and Nepal. So, open border plus the workers in India and vice versa. Fine. Number two, that friendship treaty of 1950. It's a bone of contention because Nepal wants to review it because they feel it is one-sided. It is heavily in favor of India. Number three, reverse no agreement, which India feels there should have been enough agreement, then we should have been producing electricity from them, from the rivers there. It would have been mutually beneficial, but Nepal feels otherwise. Number four, big brother attitude also. Okay, that is in that. Number five, trade. Okay, so these are standard different. Any time is not going to go away. Nepalis may not get a good feeling for Indians that easily. Okay, I always tell this for India and China also. What is the first feeling about when you talk about China? What is the first reaction, first thing comes to your mind? Bullying, big brother, some cheap, substandard Chinese goods. So cheap, substandard goods from China. And we don't have a positive feeling for Chinese. Similarly, Chinese don't have any positive feeling for Indians. But India and US, so that kind of feeling. So that is, that feeling for each other. Nepal also has this problem. They don't have that positive feeling for India. Anyway, but other than these 4 or 5, there are a couple of issues these days. One is there is a border dispute now. Okay, there is a border dispute. Another problem is another elephant in the room or another dragon in the room is the Nepal-China relations. Because Nepal is moving closer to China is something which is unacceptable to India. And Nepal is moving closer to China because Nepal has always this deep-rooted mistrust with India. And whenever we do something, they feel agitated. Or मैं जा रहा हूँ China. But we don't want them to go also. But we don't want to respect them also. We don't want to treat them equally also. Problem is, we cannot change our mindset that much. But yet we want Nepal to be loyal to India. It's a very difficult task. So there is a fundamental change or difference is required. Anyway, so let's first talk about this border dispute which is happening right now. Where is the dispute happening right now? Main dispute is in the west, the Kali River, and the region is not Kalapani. Kalapani region. Okay. So this region of India and Nepal. Okay. In fact, this region is in the north. You can see this corner. Okay. There's a small area. You can see this. Just that yellow color what is shown there. It's a very, very small area. That is where the dispute is there right now, which we call it as the Kalapani region. Okay. Now, so there is a small area like this in that corner. And this, according to India, and the issue is regarding the origin of the river. Okay. Now, what is happening here is the western border of India and Nepal is by a river called Mahakali. That means between British India and Nepal in 1816, after the Anglo-Nepalese War, which I was talking yesterday, They signed a treaty called Treaty of Sugauli. We signed the Treaty of Sugauli. And in that treaty, it was agreed that the boundary between British India and Nepal will be Mahakali River. Okay, the boundary is the Mahakali River. So, but now the dispute is regarding what is the origin of this Mahakali River. Okay, where is the origin of the Mahakali River? India says the origin is a place or just south of Kalapani. South of Kalapani. But Nepal says no, no. So we are saying, the boundary is, Mahakali is originating something like this. But, and so based on that, India says the boundary between India and Nepal, they have kept, and there is a Lipu-Leh pass also. So this is how the boundary should look like. That is what India says. But Nepal says, no, no, the Mahakali River is its origin is from another tributary which is originating from a place called Limbiadura. Okay. Nepal says it is originating from a place called Limbiadura. So, because of that, we have a dispute of. So, this is what we are saying. The origin. But Nepal says the origin is from here, that Limbiadura. So, the disputed is a small area around 300. Okay, so the total disputed area will be around 300 or so square kilometers. It's not a big amount. It's a forested region. So, what is the reason for dispute? The reason for dispute is the difference of opinion regarding what is the origin, what is the headstream from where the river is originating. India says it is originating from south of Kalapani. South of Kalapani. So the disputed area. But Nepal says no, no, the origin of Kali River is from a place because there is another headstream. We say it's only a tributary. We are not saying it is Kali. But they are saying no, no, that is the original Kali River, and Kali River originates from Limbiadura. Okay, so this is the disputed area. But India was holding this territory for all long. Nepal says, you please respect the Treaty of Sugauli. Sugauli says, the Kali should be the Mahakali River should be the boundary, and Mahakali is originating from Limbiadura, which we are not accepting. Okay, so the total disputed area is 335 square kilometers. Okay, the total is 335 square kilometers area. And now, what was the trigger? Why this dispute happened last year, 2020? The trigger was very interesting. The trigger was that from this Kalapani to Lipu-Leh, if you can see this, can you see it is written Lipu-Leh Pass? Lipulekh. So that is the corner. So Kalapani is here. Kalapani is the place where, and Nepal is saying, nahin, it is originated. So this corner is the problem. And from here to the Lipu-Leh, this is north of it. Can you see Rakas Lake, Mansarovar Lake? What is the significance of this? Mansarovar, Rakas? Of course, one significance is this is from where our Indus River is originating, or Indus and even Satluj is originating. You can see Satluj is originating very near to Rakas Lake. Even Indus is originating from there. But most importantly, our Kailash, Lord Shiva's abode, which is our, in our mythology, we strongly believe that Lord Shiva's abode is Kailash range. That Kailash Mansarovar Yatra from India used to go through this Lipuleh Pass. Okay, that's very significant. And that is what we consider it as the last post in this region between India and Nepal. But Nepal says Lipuleh is within Nepal. Nepal, China border for them. And why this was there? Now, in this region, this, from this Kalapani till Lipuleh, around 80 kilometers distance is there. So, from this Kalapani till Lipuleh, around 80 kilometers distance, earlier for Mansarovar Yatra, there were no proper road. Even this 80 kilometers, it is almost like trekking or with the bare minimum facilities we were doing. But in 2020, on 8th May, 2020, India, or our defense minister, Rajnath Singh, he inaugurated an 80-kilometer road from a place called Ghatia Bagarg, Ghatia Bagarg to Lipuleh. So we have inaugurated a new road there in May 2020, which Nepal claims that is well within their territory. Nepalis knew that we are constructing, as an overnight a road came 80 kilometers, and that too in that completely Himalaya mountainous region. If a road is constructed, many years, many decades we might have taken. Jo bhi hai, but Nepal, once we inaugurated it, they they reacted violently. They said, you are doing it within their territory. Lipuleh is not your a region. It is our thing. Jo bhi hai. So this got the final trigger between India and Nepal. And anyway, our relationship were not so good at that time. So Nepal reacted violently, and Nepal Assembly, or rather Parliament, passed their resolution. And even they went ahead with a constitutional amendment and declared that all places east of that, Limpiadhura is Nepali territory. That 335 square kilometer area is Nepali territory. And they even passed a constitutional amendment in the parliament declaring that our territory is this much, even though they were silent for the last 170 years or even more than that. Since 1816, after 1816, now 2022. So it's not just 170 years, 200. It is more than 200 years. Nepal was not very clear, and suddenly they passed a constitutional amendment. Gussa ho gaya, bada statement. Okay, so that is how, and they even released a new map, and it became a major bone of contention. India did not say anything. Obviously, there is no point in saying. We are already holding the territory. हमने बोला तुम जो चिल्लाना चिल्लाओ, ये हमारा territory है. हम कुछ नहीं बोलेंगे. ठीक है? Suppose this mouse is with me and you are shouting हमें नहीं ये मेरा mouse है. ठीक है? जितना चिल्लाना चिल्लाओ, ये मेरे पास है. Okay? You बाहर खड़ा होके भी रोड पे भी बोलो मेरा mouse सर लेके चला गया. कोई बात नहीं, मेरे पास है ना. I am not worried. As long as it is with me, I will not be worried. The same thing, India said, jo chillana chillao. We did not say much. Okay. But this is a major bone of contention. It is a small, if you look that way, this is not a big thing. It is a forested area. It is not going to make much difference. Anyway, we are not going to cut the trees and make some money out of it in any case. Whether it is with us or with Nepal is not going to make much difference. So even if, all I am trying to tell you is, even if through a negotiated settlement, even if we have to accept that, okay, even if you give it to Nepal, it is not going to make any difference for India. But in the process, if you can create a goodwill among the people of Nepal, and if they can be more accommodative of Indian views on other areas, I will say that this give and take can always be there. Anyway, so that is the issue between India and Nepal. As far as this boundary, this is a 2020 dispute. Nothing has changed. They claimed, they made a constitutional amendment, everything is fine, but the territory is with India only. They are claiming it. Okay. Now, this is something which is an irritation between India and Nepal right now. Similarly, another issue is, as I told you, the presence of China. Okay. This China-Nepal relations are improving. The last 5-6 years, if you look, one big concern for India is the growing closeness between China and Nepal, which is not to the comfort of India. In fact, as I told you, in 2015, when the new constitution came into being in Nepal, the Madheshis protested. When Madheshis protested, we sided with the Madheshis, and in the process, the rest of the Nepal became, once again, or rather they became more anti-India. So I always, it's a diplomatic blunder from Indian side. So we supported, and this is something we should have avoided, because it is a domestic problem of Nepal. Between Paharis and Madheshis, if they are fighting, India should not have been involved. So this has placed China, or other golden opportunity for China in interfering in Nepal. So the Prime Minister of Nepal at that time, KP Sharma Oli, okay, he signed a transit and trade treaty with China. Nepal's Prime Minister at that time, KP Sharma Oli, in 2016, signed a transit and trade. So please remember, any landlocked country like Nepal, having no access to ocean, under the UN protocol only, they have a right to have an access to any ocean, and that access was given by India only, through Calcutta port, through Bombay port. Then later on, there was an agreement with Bangladesh. Chittagong port also, we agreed for that also. So they had multiple options. But now China says we would like to have a transit facility through China. Okay, so they have signed it. Naturally, even though it is a difficult task, because from Nepal going to China is not that easy because of the Himalayas and the Tibetan plateau, but still they signed it, which is definitely a sign not so good for India. That is number one. Number two, they even agreed that China will extend their Tibetan rail to Kathmandu. China will extend the Tibetan rail to Kathmandu. In fact, see, Lhasa, the Tibetan rail up to Lhasa, it is one of the most difficult rail lines in the world. Okay, and this is passing through some of the highest plateaus of the world, and in many places, this train or the rail is passing through at a height of around 5,000 meters above sea level, and it is almost like an aircraft. Okay, if you're a normal aircraft, when you fly, of course, it can go up to 38,000 feet and all. If you're talking about 38,000 feet, how many meters? It is around 10-12 kilometers. 3 feet is about approximately 3 feet is one meter, na? So if you go by that logic, so but at this 5,000 meters, 5 kilometers above the sea level, in the train also, even if you're sitting in the train, you will have problems in breathing, because the oxygen level will be less, the atmosphere will be thin, and they have pressurized compartments. Like aircraft, when you sit, the compartment, the aircraft is pressurized. Air is under high pressure, or other enough pressure is given so that we can breathe normally. Okay, so same pressurized compartments are there for this Lhasa train. Okay, so from Lhasa, they have already extended the line to a place called Shigatse. Okay, and from Shigatse, they are now trying to extend this further to the Nepal border at a place called Girong. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is this, from Lhasa to Shigatse to Girong, it is reaching like the Great Himalayas is here. They have reached, so suppose this is Girong. Now Kathmandu may be on the other side. Okay. Now, of course, there's a huge Himalayas in between, and it's not that easy. But today the technology is growing so fast. Maybe in another time, maybe a tunnel. Through a tunnel, you can easily cross over. We have already constructed many such tunnels in Alps. In between Switzerland and Italy, we have some of the longest of the tunnels, more than 50-kilometer long tunnels are there below the Alps. See, earlier in Alps, Alps mountain, what is happening was that the initial tunnels were about 3/4 height. Then they constructed further below. Now, the latest one, which they have inaugurated in 2015-16, is almost here, whereby it is the longest, around, I think, 55-kilometer long tunnel now. So crossing Alps now, it becomes so easy in Europe. And any idea what is the name of that? Gotthard. Yeah. Gotthard Base Tunnel. Okay, Gotthard Base Tunnel is the world's longest and the deepest tunnel under Swiss Alps, and 57-kilometer long. And some places, the depth is below the mountain almost 2,300 meters below. Because on the peak, the height, I'm talking about the height, it may be as deep as 2,300 meters below. Gotthard Tunnel. And the rail tunnel. Okay. And from Switzerland to travel to Italy, Milan and all. So I have traveled. So that is why I'm telling. So within no time, aapko pata hi nahi chalega you are traveling. I mean, tunnel, of course, you feel it. But other than that, no mountain, no climbing. And suddenly you are told that you cross the Alps mountain. 57 kilometers. Okay. So anyway, what I'm saying, if we have such technology already, China is behind all these things these days. China will say, "Okay, maybe ek bana leta hu." But only thing is that even Alps is a very a seismic zone. I mean, the earthquake-prone region only. So we cannot say that they have constructed in a very safe area or anything. So if that comes, what I'm trying to tell you is they can defy geography. They can overcome the geographical difficulty. So if they have a tunnel connection and all from Kathmandu, if they can go through this Tibetan rail, their dependence on India will dramatically reduce. So they are definitely trying to do that. So please remember, so this China-Tibet rail, which they are saying that the Tibetan rail will be extended to Kathmandu. That's what they are claiming. And if they do that, it is going to be a game changer. But of course, it is not going to be that easy. It is not going to happen overnight. But this can be a possibility. This cannot be ruled out. Earlier, 10 years before, maybe 15 years, we might have safely said, "Ye sab nahi hoga." They cannot. Nepal is bound to be friendly with India. But now we know that if we, if we try to pressurize them, they can always, and we cannot say Himalaya is a safe bet for that, because technology is improving, road connectivity can be there, tunnels can be there, and their dependence on India will definitely reduce. Okay, in fact, that is what exactly is happening right now. In fact, why we should worry with Nepal-China relation is because of this new technology and improvement. And so they are definitely looking for that, and they may extend. So that is why some say, they are challenging geography. And geography alone cannot be a solace for India when it comes to Nepal and China. And moreover, another interesting thing I would like to say about Nepal and see now, because of the presence of Himalayas, like these 3 layers of Himalayas, and Nepal is located within the second and the third, basically. I mean, Great Himalayas in the back, and then between Middle Himalayas and Shivaliks there, and some plain region, that is the Terai region, which Nepal has. And so Nepal is naturally open to India. They are not open to Tibet, because behind that you have the Tibetan plateau also. So it's a very, very difficult terrain. And most of the trade they are having through India only, they have no choice. But in 2017, just for one understanding, I'm saying, in 2017, approximately the China-Nepal trade we are talking, 59% of China-Nepal trade, or the Chinese import to or export to Nepal, it came through India, because it has come to Calcutta port and it came through India. Okay, now it's a question of how we say this. We can say as high as 59% has come through India, or you can say only 59% came through India. Earlier, it used to be almost 100%. Now it has come to almost less than 60% is coming through India. That means the rest 40% kahan se aa rahe? Directly from Tibet or by air. Because of the improved air connectivity, 40% of Chinese export to Nepal is bypassing India. Earlier, it was almost 100% used to come through India, now only 40%. So that means, again, their better connectivity over land as well as better air connectivity is reducing Nepal's dependency on India. Please note, it is reducing Nepal's dependency on India. The number of flights have increased, connectivity has improved, and even tomorrow, if this rail also happens, I'm not saying it will happen tomorrow, day after tomorrow, maybe in the next 10 years, maybe in the next 15 years, then Nepal will say, beta, I mean, to India, they will say, big brother, ज़्यादा नाटक मत कर, मैं जा रहा हूँ. Okay, मैं China जाके आता हूँ, तेरा tunnel में. Okay, so then it will be a difficult situation for us. So that is number 2. In number 3 point, where we should be worrying right now is, see, you as we know very well, Nepal is a poor country, but Nepal is fully, one of the ways in which they get revenue is through tourism. In 2018, of course, maximum number of tourists came from India, no doubt. And we have an open border, एक bus पकड़ना या bike लेना या car लेना, you have to just go to Nepal and come back. मस्ती करो. पैदल भी जा सकते. Yes, very good. Okay, you can easily do that. 2018, around 2 lakh Indians visited Nepal. But you know how many Chinese visited? 1.5 lakh. Where there is no road connectivity as such. All came via air, all air traffic. Okay, which is something very clearly we can say geographical fact, or geography is not preventing Chinese from traveling to Nepal for tourism. We Indians, with all our ability, with all our connectivity, easy access, we have just traveled 2 lakhs. So that has made the whole thing, the air connectivity. Nowadays also, otherwise also you see the air connectivity is expanding across the world. We are finding it easy to travel, even if it's an 8 hours journey in air. We say, "ठीक है, जल्दी चलते हैं, जाके आते हैं." We will go and come because we are comfortable. So this tourism's monopoly, India's monopoly in Nepali tourism is slowly vanishing. Again, they are getting an alternative through China, and Chinese are more than willing to travel. And that is a fourth point is, even in the post office economy, things are changing now. Nepalis are able to travel across the world. Their income comes from various places. Internet and this, the what do you call, the money transfer, the availability, the options of money transfer is again defying geography. So even there is a fiber link, fiber network, okay, optical fiber, OFN, even OFN, optical fiber network between China and Nepal now. So their connectivity is increasing, and we are all becoming global communities. Even Nepal's that dependency earlier, we used to say, we are more comfortable between Nepal and India because of the shared culture, Hinduism, shared geography, or it is opening natural. All rivers are flowing into India, so there is a lot of easy connectivity to India. Then language is almost similar. Hindi and Nepali language is not much different, having a lot of connections. So culture is same, in a language is, in a religion is same. Okay, a lot of connectivity was there. But now, over a period of time, in this modern era, these things are not that important because of internet, because of connectivity, because of mobile networks. So the more aspirational people are coming, and even we. I mentioned the other day, we claiming Lord Buddha is not well received by Nepali. वो बोले कि आप ऐसे कैसे बोल रहे? Okay, so that is something is also a worrying fact. So they are also seeing. So Nepal and China is moving closer. Absolutely not. And plus, what are China's interests in Nepal? Now you should also look into what are Chinese interests in Nepal. Why China is more than happy to deal, or other, they want to be closer. In fact, in 2019, Xi Jinping, the all-powerful, the Chinese president, he visited Nepal. After a visit to India, there was a stopover in Kathmandu also. And they are, as part of their geopolitics, they are trying to woo the Indian neighbors. Okay, they are wooing, they are trying to get more closer to our neighbors. And one big reason is, which is a salami slicing policy. Salami slicing means, around the salami food. So in this salami slicing, like, you chop and slice the salami, China wants to detach one by one, the India's, friends and all, to wean away them so that India can be isolated. That's what they try to do. One by one, they try to make our life more discomfortable. Okay. So anyway, so what they are trying to wean away some of our close neighbors like Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka. One by one, they want. China, Pakistan is already with them. So they are actually trying to become more friendly so that their policy of, encircle India, okay, or contain India in South Asia policy, or encircle India by having friendly relation with our neighbors. Okay, so China wants to do that, and they want to wean away. They want to get more friendly with our neighbors. So that is why China is doing. How are they doing? They are doing by offering some aid or some investment. So China wants to do that, so that as part of their policy towards India, because they don't have a very positive image about India. As part of their policy towards India, they want to win away our neighbors, which will make India more discomfortable. So one approach is that there is a geostrategic approach. That is number one. Number two, China has a very ambitious policy called BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, whereby they invest heavily in other countries in infrastructure so that they can use their resources, their manpower, and they can further improve their economic strength. And they see Nepal as a great destination. In the BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. Then a number three interest in Nepal is by China. So one, they want to make India discomfortable. Number two, they want, as part of their investment policy across the world, they want to invest in Nepal also, so that they can reap benefits of their economic growth. Number three is, China has a big problem in Tibet. Tibetan rebels are there, including Dalai Lama and all staying in India. And many Tibetans are living in exile in Nepal also. Many Tibetans are living in exile in Nepal. Okay. Now, what is their interest? If they have a good relationship with the Nepal government, then these rebels can also be kept in check. Even China, when our Xi Jinping visited in 2019, they wanted an extradition treaty. But which Nepal refused to sign. Despite all this, since they have that, because the Tibetan refugees in Nepal are in good relation with them, and it was a lot of pressure also. See, he had to sign an extradition treaty. What will happen? China will say, "Dekho, isko bhej do. Ye theek nahi hai aadmi." So then Nepal will have no other option other than arresting that fellow and sending to China. So they wanted even to sign an extradition treaty so that they can have a control over the Tibetan rebels. Okay, the Dalai Lama supporters. So, three interests of China in Nepal. Number one, they can put India in discomfort. Major diplomatic victory, a geostrategic victory for China. Number two, they can expand their Belt and Road Initiative, whereby their investments can be there, and Nepal was more than willing. Number three, definitely Tibet. Rebels can be kept under check. They even wanted an extradition treaty. And if at all you want to say number four, it is again, China is a export-oriented or export-dependent economy. Chinese economy export-dependent economy. They want more market, and Nepal can be a good market for them in any case. Even though it's a small country, they are always looking for increasing their bilateral trade. So that is why they are interested to increase. Okay, friendly relation, more export is possible. So they were looking for that also. So that is why China is interested in Nepal. But what is Nepal's interest? I already said. One, they are, after all these years, if you look back, Nepal feels that India is always, stifling them. India is taking undue advantage of our geography. India is not doing justice to the Nepali population. Even our friendship treaties and all are one-sided and against the Nepal interest. So they feel, now Nepal's interest, once again I am repeating, Nepal's interest, they feel by moving closer to China, India will become more receptive to Nepal. India will become more receptive. See, it's like a triangular relationship. Suppose you have, think either way. Girls should think that two boyfriends are there. Boy should think that two girlfriends are there. Okay. Now, कुछ अगर एक से कुछ बोला अच्छा नहीं लगा, मैं उधर जा रहा हूँ, ठीक है, then immediately there will be a lot of pressure. Okay, on the other side, so they can put some pressure on India now. Because देखो ज्यादा मत कर, नाटक मत कर, मैं जा रहा हूँ चाइना, मैं उधर चाय पीऊंगा कल. Okay, so उनका आइसक्रीम मैं खाऊंगा, मतलब ये थोड़ा गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. So हाँ, नहीं, वो तो अभी आ रहा है ना, that I'll come to that. What is the other side of that? Why they are not able to do that very easily? That the debt trap issue and all will come definitely. Okay, so Nepal feels that they can make India more receptive, and number two, it can put some pressure on India because India will be vulnerable now because they know that India will never like China to present in Nepal. So it can put India under pressure. Then in the Belt and Road Initiative and all, Nepal also would like to have some economic infrastructure, some economic infrastructure, economic investment and infrastructure. If China says, I will construct this, that, so naturally they want. So they are expecting some some infrastructure development through Chinese investments. It can balance India a bit, make India more receptive, and India will be under pressure now. So now India will be, because every time whenever we had a dispute with Nepal, we always put economic blockade. Like as I said, in 2015, we supported the economic blockade. Even in 1980s, there was an economic blockade. In 1970s, there was an economic blockade. So they feel that moving closer to China will ensure it's a guarantee against economic blockade by India. A guarantee against economic blockade by India. And most importantly, their dependence on India will reduce. And they feel that this is a way in which they can tell India that treat us properly. Okay, so that is the Nepali interest in moving closer to China. But everything is not that smooth. There are serious limitations in this idea. Okay. It is not attractive for each other, but as you said, this Chinese investment, now we know that it can be a debt trap. Then no matter whatever you say, geographical problems are problems. It is not that easy to construct a tunnel and get connectivity and all. So, and then when you have no connection Indians, very easily we can mingle because we are ethnically, religiously, culturally, we are so interlinked. But Chinese culture is definitely an alien culture for them. It's not that easy to mix and mingle also. Okay, so despite all these statements, all good things, finally to implement on ground, it is not that easy, number one. Then Nepali society itself is not fully, 100% agreeing on this. There is difference of opinion in Nepal also. So, but definitely, there is a lot of merit for China and Nepal to come together. it suits their geostrategic interests. For India, it is always a dangerous scenario because it will create further pressure on India from our northern side. Okay, for India, it is not a comfortable situation. So what needs to be done? So there can be another question. So all these are questions, whenever I say these headings are all, so what needs to be done for India? We always say we are the closest neighbor, culturally, geographically all linked, but still we don't have that warmth in our relationship. So first of all, and Gurkha soldiers, almost 32,000 Gurkha soldiers in Indian Army, and they are real, good fighters and very loyal. So we have a link, and so if 32,000 are at present there, imagine the number of retired people and how many families are linked to India, very high. So that way, all those things are good. So and also from Nepal to India, the remittance, or seventh largest remittance to India is from Nepal. Why? Indian businessmen make a lot of profit and money comes to India. That also we should not ignore. Okay, so and a big trading partner for India, absolutely no doubt. So the way forward is, first of all, India, enough is enough. India should realize that Nepal is a sovereign country. Our leaders should realize that Nepal is a sovereign country. Nepal is not part of Akhand Bharat and all. When we say it is Akhand Bharat part, we are indirectly telling them that, beta tum hamara ek state jaisa, you are like a state for India. No, we have to. So the concept of nation state, it's a nation. Nepal is a nation. It's a state, and we should respect that. And the special relationship, we say if we have a special relationship, we should. And we should treat Nepal as an equal state. Okay, as an equal state. We should treat them. We should not treat Nepal as a state of India. We should not treat Nepal's Prime Minister like we are treating our UP Chief Minister, say for example. If Prime Minister of India treats UP Chief Minister and Nepal Prime Minister equally, then it is bad, because Nepal's Prime Minister is a leader of a sovereign country which we are not doing, unfortunately. That is where India will have to change our approach. And number three, if Nepal is not comfortable with our friendship treaty, we should renegotiate the friendship treaty. We should renegotiate the friendship treaty. See, we have renegotiated our friendship treaty with Bhutan. We signed a new treaty in 2007. We have even settled the border dispute with Bangladesh, which is more complex, more complicated. We have done it. So this small 335 square kilometer and all should not be a problem. So we should solve the border dispute. Even if we have to give some concession, we should give to Nepal. Agar wo bolega nahi Kali river starts from Limbia dure, theek yaar udhar se start ho raha hai, maan liya. मान लो ना 1 minute के लिए, क्या दिक्कत है? This is a small thing for us. Even if you get that 335 square kilometer in our name, क्या करेगा? खाएगा क्या उसको? Are we going to eat that? Are we going to take any resource from that? It's some given friendly state, and with that, if we can make that Nepal's approach towards India change, and if they are always be with India, that is more better. So we should renegotiate. We should resolve the border dispute with some concession. I am using the term, it's my suggestion. Okay, even if with some concession, we should do that. So, rather than talking about culture and sentiments every time, we should make our relationship more stronger with shared interest. We should create a shared interest. Okay. They should feel that there is benefit in the relationship. ये तो husband and wife के बीच में भी यही है. If there is no shared interest, the relationship will break. If I am independent, my wife is equally independent. After some time, ये कि मैं जा रहा हूँ. She will also say जल्दी जाओ. फालतू time waste मत करे इधर. Why most celebrities marriage fail? सोचने की बात है. Okay, there is nothing much to share. Their interest, I am fully independent. If your partner is also fully independent and they are with equal income, मेरा income है 100 crore, wife का income है 150 crore, तो क्या करेगा? Most of the celebrities देखो ना, अभी जैसे Johnny Depp and our Amber, हाँ क्या है? वो बोला ठीक है यार, फाइनली सेटलमेंट भी हुआ तो क्या है? जॉनी को मिलना है $10 million, उसको मिलना है $2 million. मैं बोल रहा हूँ मुझे एक आध लाख डॉलर दे तो हम भी खुश हो जाएगा. मिलियंस का धंधा चल रहा है. Okay, so what I'm saying is, suppose tomorrow Virat Kohli and Anushka wants to, suppose, I mean, let us pray that they don't want to separate and all. तो अगर कुछ separation agreement भी होगा तो क्या होगा? विराट कोहली बोलेगा मेरा तो 1500 करोड़ का है माल, तुम्हारा कितना? वो बोलेगी मेरे पास 2000 करोड़ है. ठीक है, सेटल कर लेते, थोड़ा आगे पीछे 100 करोड़ इधर दे दो उधर दे दो, दोनों खुशी खुशी चले जाएगा. But most of the time in our normal आम आदमी relationship में क्या होता है? Even if the wife wants divorce, she will not say I want. Why? She has no economic independence. वो बोले नहीं नहीं मान लेंगे, मारो मुझे, कोई बात नहीं, मैं जाऊंगी नहीं. Okay, क्यों? I have no source. If we become economically more independent, so that's shared in. Now the problem is you are continuing with the relationship because you have no choice. But what I'm saying is that, but that is an out of compulsion relationship. But if there is mutual benefit, and if there is real what you call benefit for each other, and even Nepal should feel that there is a benefit of relationship with India, then it will be enduring, and we should create that kind of relationship, whether it is economic, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is human development, whether it is education, whether it is in healthcare. We should be looking for that. And then we should take a pledge. A sixth point I would like to add. The sixth point is India should take a pledge and convey it to Nepal that we will never go for no more economic blockades. Economic blockades are barbaric act. Okay, suppose we are neighbors. Okay, so I have a fight with you as a neighbor. तो तुमको सबक सिखाने के लिए मैं तुम्हारे ड्रिंकिंग वाटर में अगर थोड़ा मिट्टी मिला के भेज दूं, इंडियन स्टाइल, उसको परेशान करने के लिए, नहीं है तो गाय का यूरिन उसमें मिला दो ताकि neighbor is in trouble. What I'm saying, economic blockade is one of the worst forms of taking revenge on others. No, you are making your neighbor struggle. You are making putting your neighbor in deep stress. No, see, imagine when we did the economic blockade this time, we stopped the supply of petrol and diesel. Imagine no petrol and diesel, no cooking gas in your home. Kitna difficult hoga life. Today morning, because of this water shortage these days in our areas, suddenly my wife told there is no water in the overhead tank, or rather very little. It is not, the pump is not working. Pump is working, but there is no water in the whole supply system. So just imagine, only there is enough water in the overhead tank, but the only fear that there may not be enough water for the day, the whole equation changed. Everybody is tense. Ab kya hoga? Toilet jaun, nahi jaun, nahau, nahi nahau. Multiple. Imagine no cooking gas. तो क्या बोलेगा? I will eat raw. है ना? सब्जी लाओ, खा लेता हूँ. चावल क्या करेगा? So it's a big problem, and we are participating. If the government of India is participating in that economic blockade and making the common man's life miserable, and suppose you have a bike and no petrol in that, क्या करेगा? खाएगा क्या उसको? So it's a big problem, and we participated. This is not something which we should be doing. Anyway, unfortunately, we are done. So we should pledge, we should make it very clear to the Nepal government that in future we will not do. So these kind of steps can definitely, and most importantly, one more point, let us not forget that Madeshis are not Indians. They are only Indian origin people. Madeshis are not Indians. They are only Indian origin. But we should not interfere in the internal affairs of other countries, however problematic it is. We should have sympathy. We can convince them, but not through these kind of forceful action. So we should not interfere in the internal affairs. We should respect their sovereignty. Nepal is a nation state. That is how we can improve the relation. So it is a difficult task. See, with a Hindu, right-wing party in India in power, it was expected that our relationship with Nepal will improve. That is what even Prime Minister Modi thought. One of his first visits was to Nepal. He addressed the Constituent Assembly at that time, and he told very clearly, we will support you and we want Nepal to be free from our clutches. But finally, kuch nahi hua. And some of the worst decisions were that economic blockade in 2016. It has further deteriorated our relationship. So we need to take these remedial measures to improve the relation between India and Nepal. So there can be a question only on how to improve the relationship. Why Nepal and China are coming together? Is it going to be enduring? Is geography a factor in Nepal-China relations? Are you getting this? So there are multiple questions possible between India and Nepal. Like this, only questions will be coming. So please think, and see you then. Bye-bye. And please study your NCRTs and all, which you have studied. We will give a list by 16, that the tests and all.